So hello everyone, I hope you are doing well. So welcome back again to our series that is regarding the understanding of ICMJE guideline. So where we are already discussed two sessions related to the understanding of ICMJE, that is the introduction of ICMJE, and then the authorship criteria. Like in earlier session, what we understand, what are the criteria that are recommended by the ICMJE for four criteria we already understand, and the criteria uh, that are related to the individual that we need to put his or her name in the acknowledgement section we already discussed. So in earlier session, like in ICMJE recommendation, we know, okay, this will be the author and this is the order of that particular, like let's suppose there are five authors in that particular paper. Then how we can understand the contribution of each authors in this list? Let's suppose the first author, what first author did, what second author did, what third author did. So to understand the each and every aspect that the author involved in it, you need to understand one of the another aspect which is unrelated to the ICMJE, but we can connect it to the ICMJE recommendation. So you understand the authorship criteria, but if you just see a paper and you try to figure out, like let's suppose first author did all work. No, it's not a kind of situation, because first author did some kind of other things in that particular research and other authors did other kind of work. So to understand this and to give a transparency, there is another aspect what we called as a contributor role taxonomy. This is also known as a CRediT. In short, we can say it as a CRediT, and the set, or we can say the format here I write like this: C capital, R capital, and T capital. This is the exact format that is we need to write in this manner only. And if you see so many paper, you will find the CRediT authorship agreement or CRediT authorship statement. You will find the similar format over there as well. So let's go and start to understand what is actually the contributor role taxonomy is. So what it is, it actually, if you read over here, it basically the CRediT taxonomy, what it contain 14 role, and the best practices that represent basically a simple but a comprehensive system that enable the range and the nature of contribution to the scholarly published output, and that to be captured in a transparent, consistent, and structured format. We are going to discuss like what is the meaning of exact these terminologies, because you just need to understand it contain 14 taxonomy. The reason of this 14 taxonomy is to represent each and every contribution that is made by the authors in a transparent, consistent, and a structured format. You can say it's a kind of recommendations, it's a kind of format you need to follow to give the exact emphasis to that particular authors. So here you can also say, like in simple, what we can say, it is a structured way to describe how research is produced, like who is involved in this research and which part is covered by which author, or we can say which individual involved in which kind of aspect of that particular research. So if you know it history, so it is approved in, I think it's approved in Feb. Yes, it's approved in Jan. I think it's approved in Jan 2022, 2020. As an ANSI and NISO standard. So what these are? So you need to understand, like ANSI represent basically American National Standard Institute. So this institute basically has a one subsidiaries, or we can say the part of this institute is one of its NISO. NISO stand for National Information Standard Organization. What NISO did basically, if you just understand ANSI as a standard organization which is situated in or working in a United States, and this NISO develop basically standards that are specifically related to the management, library, scholarly publishing, or metadata, or any kind of digital content. So the content which developed, or the standard developed by the NISO, are approved by the ANSI. So that's how these two are working. You can, and whatever the NISO developed and approved by the ANSI, that is published in the ANSI NISO standard. So that we called as a standard. So it's a kind of standard that is follow across the countries or across the United States or some kind of other countries as well. So these standard are basically, you can say, are permissible to use. So it's under common creative license where you can use them freely and access them and use them in your manuscript as well. There is no as such restriction in these kind of things. And these CRediT, or we can say contributor role taxonomy, are available in multiple languages. You can directly go to the CRediT taxonomy and then you will find like, okay, what are the languages they are available. You will find so many different kind of language model over there. So another important aspect I'm let me tell you, the DOI, the digital object identifier, you must be aware of that are also the standard of that particular DOI is also developed by the NISO and then approved by the ANSI. So this is also comes under the ANSI NISO standard. So try to understand it. It's a very kind of reputed organization which develops some kind of standard to follow across the countries. Now let's understand, as I told you, the purpose is very clear, like it promote transparency, recognition and accountability. Because if you only write, okay, this is first author, this is second author, we just understand, okay, this contributed more than this. But how much exactly or what kind of work was contributed by the first author? This is a kind of transparency, and also this is a kind of recognition, because we are specifically write, okay, the first author contributed to that particular part of the manuscript. So that is a kind of transparency, recognition. And then another word which is very important, you need to understand, when I was told, I was sharing the ICMJE recommendation regarding the authorship, there is one criteria of the authorship: accountability. If you remember, the accountability means, if you don't know what kind of work is performed by that particular author, then you don't know, okay, who will be the responsible or who will be the accountable for that part. But if you have a certain kind of standard or certain kind of format where you can specify that particular work, okay, in this format each and every authors of that particular manuscript will be aware, okay, this work is done by that author and he or she will be the responsible for or accountable for that work. So this is a kind of standard for which is developed by the CRediT role taxonomy. So these are the 14 aspects that we are going to discuss. Like the first, as you see, let me just, after this I will show you some kind of example from the papers where you will understand, okay, this is the taxonomy and this is the CRediT authorship statement, and we write it in this format only. So the first part of this is, actually you can directly go to the CRediT taxonomy, you will find the complete list. Okay, like these are the 14, what it include. So the first is conceptualization. Conceptualization means like the idea. If you are involved, like we can also denote like, okay, first author is involved in the idea or formulation or evaluation of overarching research goal or aim. So this is also what it include. It include identifying the issue, question, problem, each and everything. It involved the development of research question or hypothesis, like he or she developed hypothesis. Apart from that, it also include like the research, what will be the research framework, what will be the tool, what will be the experimental paradigm. So each and everything, you can say, it is included in the conceptualization. Then the second part is data curation. Data curation means management activity to annotate or produce or scrub the data or maintain research data for initial use or later reuse. So this is also important. What it include, basically it include the data processing, data cleaning, data cataloging, each and everything you related to the data, like integration or aggregating the data in a diverse format. Or another thing is like the updating of data description, each and everything metadata related to these kind of things you need to understand, like it will go under the data curation. So let's suppose if a person is involved in the data processing or data cleaning, or we can say a data annotation, then you need to understand, okay, this XYZ author is involved in the data curation. So this is very specific. But if all you also want to go in some other detail, you can also specify, okay, like data curation was done by the, or we can say data cleaning or data processing was done by this XYZ author. So this is one of the aspect. Then the formal analysis. Okay, data collection or data curation or data processing is there. Now the another thing is the formal analysis. Formal analysis involve the application of statistical, mathematical or computational or any other formal technique to analyze or synthesize the study data. So this is important. If you analyze or you use any kind of statistical, mathematical, or computational, or any kind of formal approach to understand or to analyze or synthesize the data, then it will come under the formal analysis. And what it actually understand, if you are like, let's suppose if you are involved in a kind of identifying the relationship between variable or quantitative as well as qualitative data set, or performing some kind of statistical test, as I told you, or applying AI or any kind of machine learning model to predict some kind of outcome, that is also come under the formal analysis as well. Then the fourth aspect is funding action. Funding acquisition means the acquisition of financial support for the project leading to this publication. Like if there is a one publication or the paper got published, so we need to understand or we need to mention that the particular author is involved in the funding acquisition. The financial support is provided through the funding acquisition, and the funding acquisition is related to the author, fourth number author or third number author. So that's kind of, we need to give them a proper recognition of that authors as well. Then come to the investigation. So investigation, as you all know, it's involved the conducting a research and investigation process, as well as specifically performing the experiment, as well as data evidence collection. So if you understand it, it also involved like collect, we can say it modifying or following the method to collect or generate data through this. So this is the one of the aspect. Or testing research hypothesis is one of the another kind of aspect. Or it also involve, investigation is also involved if you are writing a review paper. So you need to understand where you will put the author in the investigation. If the author is involved in searching or reviewing the literature, sample data, or any other evidence, then it will also come under the investigation as well. Then come to the methodology. So methodology simply means the development or design of methodology and creation of any model. So it involve developing quantitative as well as qualitative methodologies or framework. Apart from that, you can also involve, like if any person is defining the search methodology for review kind of purpose, like if you are searching, if you are making a search strings, then it will also come under the methodology part of things. If you are writing a systematic literature review, so if you are involved in the determining the inclusion exclusion criteria or so many criteria, that will also come under the methodology part as well. Then come under the project administration. So this involves the management and coordination responsibility of research activity planning as well as execution. So it will involve all the kind of things like reporting progress, timeline, budget, compliances with the ethical governance, legal, healthy, safe, or we can say safety and other relevant standard, whatever it is. So the management, complete management is a kind of aspect we can specifically or it also involve, like if you are recruiting any participant or any needed for the research methodology participant which are needed for that conducting of that particular research, like for example for interview, focus group, survey, field or clinical trial. So this is also involved the project administration kind of things. Then come to the resources, and this resources is involved the provision of study material, like the preparing or transporting or managing access to the sample, access or artifact or any kind of tool, equipment, whatever you can think, the resources that are involved in that particular kind of research work, that is come under the resources kind of things. Another thing is software. The software is basically the programming, software development, design or computer program or implementation of computer code and supporting algorithm in that particular research. If this kind of work is conducted, or I can simplify is just understand is, like if there is any kind of designing, developing, or we can say testing, or in this scenario like debugging or documenting or sharing any code or any software or any kind of digital infrastructure. So these kind of things you need to put into the software kind of things. So if any author involved in such kind of activities, so we can directly annotate, okay, this XYZ author is involved in software. Another thing is supervision. Supervision we already know, okay, as this work is almost we can say most of the time is covered by the supervisors or guide or mentors, so they can oversight the leader on leadership responsibilities to research plan activity planning as well as execution or mentorship. kind of things external to the core team, that is also come under the supervision part of things. And the supervision, what it involve, as we already told, like it should be the intellectual input. It's not like as we discussed already in the IMJE authorship criteria. So the input whatever the provided by the supervisor is must be the kind of intellectual input or important intellectual input in your research work. So that also include, like it also include, we can say, in they can guide the team in refining methods or interpreting result, or any kind of if there is any interpersonal challenges, that is also a kind of supervision. Apart from that, teaching, training, and these all kind of things are also come under the supervision. Then come the validation. So validation is also an important part. Validation, like you have the result and you have each and everything, then the validation include the verification. Verification as a whether as a part of the activity or a separate, like the overall replication, reproducibility, result experiment, and other research output. Like here you understand the validation means to ensure the integrity, rigor, as well as reliability of data, method, result, and resources through how, like they can review it, verify it, and benchmarking or any kind of thing, like whether they are replicating or not. These kind of approach are come under the validating aspect, or validating kind of aspect. So this is a kind of verification. Like let's suppose if you are doing any kind of systematic review where we are involving in the appraising the studies or critical appraisal tool. So this is also a responsibility of the person who is involved in the validation, that they can verify it or verify it for, like whether it is a right or not, whether it, for their accuracy, for their ethical integrity, or each and every aspect related to this. Then the other one is related visualization. So then after validation, then come the visualization. So visualization simply means if you are involved in any kind of work related to the data chart preparation, as well as graph, figure, table, and these are kind of things. Like it also involves the creating videos as well as other kind of interactive medias that are involved in communicating your findings, or involved in the communication or promotion of your findings. Then come to the writing original draft. So as name suggests, if you are involved in the writing of that original draft, the first draft, that is known as a original draft. Then again, another part of writing is review and editing the draft. Like let's suppose one author write the original draft, then come to the second author. So what he or she will do in this review or editing, he or she will give some critical, he or she will critically review it, give some comments to you, and or revision. So you need to include, like including the pre and post publication stages. It can be at any stages, like he or she can review it, and critically it should be critically review, and he or she will give some kind of intellectual input or some kind of the significant inputs to revise the manuscript, and that kind of work is considered as a review or editing. So let's consider this. You write a review, and your guide will be come under the writing, review, and editing, because he or she will review your manuscript and give you his or her input to that particular thing of things. So these are the 14 criteria you need to understand what comes under the CRediT taxonomies. And now come to the example. You can see there is one example, like this is the paper, therapeutic potential of apolipoprotein mimetic peptide in CNS disorder, current perspective. So this is a review paper. You can see this is the, like as I told you, the format will be same, it will not change. Like the CRediT is written as a C capital, R capital, then T capital. So this is the standard format, and we need to use this format every time wherever we are using this. So in this paper, like let's see, Shakil Ahmed, what Shakil Ahmed did. Shakil Ahmed is involved in the conceptualization, methodology, software, data curation, and writing at the original draft. Try to understand this. You can open this paper and you will find in that particular section the similar format is used over there. And what Abhay H. Pandey did, writing and reviewing the editing, this kind of work he did. And the Shyam Sundar Sharma sir, what he did, like he is involved in the conceptualization, visualization, investigation, supervision, and writing, review of editing. It's not an original draft. You can see in case of Shakil Ahmed, he write the original draft, but in case of these two, like Abhay H. Pandey and Professor Shyam Sundar Sharma sir, they both review and editing the draft. This is not they wrote the original draft. No, this is the approach. This is the review. The other part, like related to the data kind of things or other kind of things like visualization, these are not involved in this kind of thing. So that's why we can see simply another example. If I told you like this is the another example, like this author, what it did, it review and editing the draft and equally, like this is the kind of things like equal lead. This you can also like if two authors are in equal contribution, you can also write like it is involved in the equal contribution or not. Like this author is involved in the conceptualization, it lead the conceptualization, and writing the original draft, it lead the original draft. So let's suppose that the original draft is written by this author, and then the review you can see over here equal. So review input, so all author equally contributed to the reviewing or editing kind of aspect. But who wrote this review or this manuscript? This manuscript is written by this author. And the formal analysis as well as review or editing kind of aspect, you can also see like this author is involved in software, this involved in methodology, and this involved in conceptualization and similar kind of things. So this is how you can add these kind of things in your manuscript whenever you are writing any manuscript. Either you are publishing it in anywhere, no matter where, whether you are publishing it in Scopus, Web of Science, but try to understand, you need to mention like this for the transparency and give the exact visibility as well as credibility to that particular author which is involved in these aspects. So let's suppose it also give, if we did not, let's suppose if you are not giving this author statement or this credit statement, then you will not understand what kind of work is conducted by that first author, that second author, and that third author. So this will give you the exact idea, like the first author did this kind of work and second author did this, third author did this. So you will understand. So it will be a transparent process. Now if you talk about the benefit, so it's a very simple, like it will provide the visibility to that particular author, like what author did, either it was involved in the data curation, visualization, and it also kind of a recognition to that particular authors. So it will also give you a more holistic view like of the contribution, as we all are already talking about, and it improving the ability to track the output of contribution of individual research specialists. Like if you are involving in any kind of grant writing or some kind of other grant recipient, so we need to understand, okay, this author is involved in the grant writing, have experience of the grant procurement or some kind of other kind of involvement, so we can approach them. Okay, and grant agencies are also try to understand their contribution. Okay, this author has a specialization in that particular field or not. So with this we can also identify, let's suppose if in author if in a paper there are 5 author and you are saying, okay, the first author did all the work, so we can collaborate with this. No, it might be there first author did all the work, but the data analysis was done by the another author. And if you want to collaborate with the person who analyzed the data, then you need to contact this author instead of the first author. So that's the kind of approach, that's the kind of we can say format you will be provided by the CRediT taxonomy, like you whom you can approach for your any kind of collaboration or any kind of reviewer or any kind of expertise. So I'll also like this, if there is any kind of authorship dispute, that also can be resolved using the CRediT taxonomy as well. So these are the, and simply we can say you can go through these all. These are already listed on their CRediT taxonomy. But apart from that, it's strengthening the transparency and trust. This is very important. So with this CRediT taxonomy, you can see like we are promoting the transparency as well as the trust in their actual recognition or giving the actual recognition or visibility to that particular author. So with this, I hope this is very helpful. So thank you everyone. So if you find this helpful, definitely try to share it with your colleagues and your friends whom you believe they can benefit with this kind of help, this kind of videos.